Hello and welcome to Harmony in the Hustle. I'm your host, Angela Vassallo, and welcome. I am so glad you are here listening, whether you're listening in while you're walking, while you're heading out, when you're in the car, whatever. I hope you really enjoyed today's episode. I am so excited to bring you this episode today because it's a really, really important one. And it's been a big part of my life and my next chapter in my journey and figuring out what I wanted to do next with my life. And I want to share this strategy of how I was able to figure out my next chapter in my life too. So one thing I want to talk about is this idea of a pause in your life and the power of a pause and that stirring. I like to call it a stirring. When you know that there's something more that you want in your life and it starts to stir inside you. And if you've had that feeling before, I know exactly what you are going through because I had it as well when I wanted to change my direction in my life because I knew what I was doing didn't align with me anymore. So today's episode is all about if you're someone in your life right now and you're wanting to pivot, if you're wanting to change, if you're feeling like there's this quiet dissatisfaction phase that you might be going through. You might be feeling, look, hey, I've accomplished a lot, but lately something feels off. You might be tired of all the hustle, on that whole wheel of hustling like a crazy person. You may have even lost your excitement or your direction. You may even have a sense of like meant for more, but I just don't know what that is. And you might even be scared to leave what you're doing now and even pivot into something new. Wherever you are, I completely understand because I've been there myself. So if you are exhausted in this whole running around endlessly, and you might even be feeling like you're going nowhere, well, today's episode is for you. This episode is all about taking the pause. I created a framework called the Next Chapter Framework, and it's a 4-part framework. And the first part that I start with is called the pause, and I call it the stirring. Taking the time to actually reflect and figure out what you want and what you think could be your next chapter. So this is a step that a lot of ambitious people, especially women, will skip. They'll skip the pausing part because sometimes stopping is exactly what you need and slowing down is what you need so you can speed up. So I want you to ask yourself a couple of these questions if you're listening right now. Am I feeling stuck or restless and might even be unsure about why you're feeling like that? Do you feel like you're disconnected from your purpose or your passions? Are you secretly craving something else new or feeling even maybe guilty about it? Is your current life or business no longer lighting you up? Now, if that's you, that's understandable, especially if you're a woman in her 40s and 50s and you've been doing a lot and achieving a lot and you haven't really had time to even think about anything else. But now you might be in this stirring stage of your life where you are starting to think about what's next, what's possible, what if, question mark. So you got to start. The first thing is what you need is self-awareness. Self-awareness that you actually have the stirring to even start. And then you also need the permission to explore that stirring, the permission to actually pause. And so today I'm giving you that permission to actually stop for a moment, pause, and start to explore what that stirring is all about. See, pausing isn't passive. It's a powerful strategy that will actually give you more clarity, more power, and more alignment. And it will help you reset your trajectory. It's a tricky word, I know, trajectory of where you're going. Because just because you're on this path right now does not mean you need to stay on that path for the rest of your life. And hear me clearly when I say that, because a lot of people feel, I know I've got friends, they do it. They go through their entire career in the same job or the same career path. And they don't feel that they can change or that they should or that they would even know what to do next. So my permission to you today is to think a little bit differently. If you do have that stirring and you do have this yearning for something new or different, or you might even be thinking, what is my future? Where am I going after this, after my job, after my career? And that is what the pause is all about. So I want you to think about it like this. You're not slowing down. You're making space to speed up. And pausing lets you get off that hamster wheel of just busyness, so you can see clearly what really, really matters. And, what I say is this, is that it's It's about the fewer the choices, the easier the decision. So when you can actually sit and think about something, the clearer the picture it will become, the fewer the choices there will be, and the easier the decision for you. And my story was when I sold my businesses and my restaurants, the pause afterwards was actually very uncomfortable for me, but I knew that it was essential. I hadn't stopped. I hadn't actually thought about what was next. I needed to take that time out to figure out what my next steps would be. And I was in this career of this hospitality industry. And even when I went in it, I had no experience. And I spent nearly 7 years in that industry. So to pull out of that and to go into something completely different, I knew I wanted to go back into doing some level of speaking and working with women in business and writing another book. But I didn't know how that was going to work for me. And I didn't know if I could even do it because I had been out for so long. So I really need to sit and work out and take that time to figure out what would I actually do and how does this look and what's, let it all unfold for me. And the only way I could do that was by taking this time to pause. So another thing you want to do is reflect and don't react. So without a pause, life is just constant reaction. So you're not intentional with any of your action because you're only reacting to everything that happens on a daily basis. So reflection allows you to assess what's working and what's not working. So what you're tolerating that you shouldn't be and what doesn't align with you anymore. So the key questions I find that I ask the women that I work with, and I go through this framework with them, my clients, what I say to them, are you living intentionally or just reacting? It's a really interesting question. Are you intentional on a daily basis of how you want your life to be? Or are you just reacting to what life throws at you? Is what you're doing now still aligned with you? And is it aligning with who you want to become? And what am I tolerating in my life that I need to release? So the three really important questions that I want you to have a think about, because that will help to start to figure out what your next chapter is, figure out what you actually want and what that stirring could actually be. The next thing I want to mention is this: reclaim your clarity and your energy. So when you actually start to align yourself with what you really want to do and what you were born to do and what your full potential is you'll start to have more energy. I mean, I love what I do. I have more energy than I ever have before. I used to come home every afternoon after working in the restaurants, and I would pick up my son around 3:30 and I would come home and I'd lay down and fall asleep on the lounge every day from exhaustion, mentally, physically. But I think emotionally, I knew that I wasn't living my aligned life. I wasn't living to my full potential, and it made me exhausted. It made me burnt out. And I knew that's a big red flag for me because I was never somebody that would lay down and sleep. But I did that for years. I would come home and just sleep. And then I'd get up and cook dinner. I was just tired all the time. So when you actually find alignment and clarity, you have more energy, you have more focus, you have more passion in your life. So you're excited about doing what you love. But yeah, busyness will mask burnout, and pausing will actually help you uncover your true energy and your passions. So you want to allow some space, some mental space, and you want some emotional bandwidth for your big dreams to actually emerge, to actually take place. I talk about it to my clients. You might have had these big dreams and goals once, and with life and kids and mortgages and everything else, what we do is we put all our dreams and goals into like a shoebox. We put it at the top of the cupboard. It sits there for years. It has clothes and jumpers and everything on top of it all now. And then one day you get on you step up on your step ladder, you get to the back of the cupboard and you find the box. You go, what the hell is this? And you open it up and you go, oh my God, these are my dreams and goals that I had once. And you ask the question yourself, do they actually even align with me anymore? There's dust all over them. You pull them out. God, yeah, I thought I wanted to do that once. I wanted to speak French. I wanted to, start my own business. I wanted to, be a baker. I wanted to run a marathon. I wanted to do all these things. I wanted to write that book. I knew I had a really great message inside me and a story that I think would help a lot of people. And I have never done that. Maybe this is something I could do now. So you really want to be able to schedule in non-negotiable pause time in your week. So nut out some time in your week where you can actually sit and think and get yourself a really lovely book. I used to go to the stores and Kiki K, Kristen, she's got some beautiful books. You can just get a beautiful book, a beautiful pen. So it makes it even more special. And that is the book of your dreams. And that is the book where you're going to start to write down what's possible for you. What do you actually want? If there was nothing holding you back, what would you do? How would your life look? And spend some intentional moments without any distractions and see what comes up. See if guilt comes up. Because a lot of women will feel guilty for actually having dreams and goals of their own. And start to journal, start to meditate, and simply sit with your thoughts. And I'm going to give you the permission to just be, to actually just sit there and think. Don't feel any emotion. Don't feel any like guilt. Don't feel anything like that. Just think, what is it? What is it that I really want? And I'm telling you now, you will not be able to figure it out immediately. This will take time. Pausing is a process, but pausing will grant you permission to sit in the messy middle. And the messy middle is the yucky, uncomfortable part that we all go through, but it's essential. It's essential to go through it so you can actually figure things out. And it will also shift your mindset from, how can I fix this, to what's possible for me and what's possible from here moving forward. And it allows you to start to think about the what if thinking. I've said a lot of it before. What if ... question mark. What is your what if? Or won't it be great when ... What is your when? Won't it be great when I can do this? Won't it be great when I could do that? Would it be great when I feel like this? Wouldn't it be great when I look like that? What is it? What is the what ifs? And what are the won't it be great when? So start there. And what if I started again? What would that look like? How would I feel? What if I gave myself permission to pivot and change direction completely in my life? Don't worry about what everybody else would think. What if I did that? How would my life look? And what if I paused exactly where my next breakthrough lives? What if you paused and then your breakthrough lives there and it started to unfold for you? So the pause is where you can recalibrate and you can actually create some harmony in your hustle. So my podcast is called Harmony in the Hustle, and I try intentionally to create harmony in my hustle. I'll get busy and I'll hustle and I'll do the work, but I want to have harmony in that as well. Not from a place of reaction or desperation. It's a level of harmony in there, a different way of living than I have ever lived before. So I want you to choose pausing this week. This is not a cost. It doesn't come at a cost. It comes at clarity, creativity, and a deeper alignment for you. And I just want to reinforce that this framework that I work with, this next chapter framework, the first part is the pause. And if you miss this part, it won't work. Nothing meaningful can emerge if you do not go through this process first. And this is the first part to the framework, the pause. And so if you're a listener right now and you're at this point where you really want to, you had that stirring and you're thinking, I really want to look at what's possible for me moving forward. I want to change something in my life. I'm dissatisfied with something. There's this kind of numbness in my life. There's a dissatisfaction, each day. If that's you, I encourage you to go through that process. Listen to this again. Write down the questions. These questions will also be in the notes here, the show notes, so you can actually get them as well. And I know that this work will help you be able to figure out what's next for you, what's possible for you. So I just really encourage you this week to take the time to pause just for 10 minutes and turn off all your distractions on your phone, get a lovely book, get a pen, sit down and start to think, what if and won't it be great when? And start to do that pause, because that is where the stirring is and that is where your next chapter is. And on top of your next chapter will be your full potential. That's where your full potential lies. So I hope that really helps you this week. I really do, because it's been everything for me. It's helped me dramatically. That's why I created this framework. That's why I do this work, because I know exactly what women are going through. I've literally pivoted and reinvented myself over and over and over again all my life. I did not do uni. I did not take the road that everybody went on. I didn't just do one career. I've had so many different careers and so many different paths, and I've been able to reinvent myself over and over again. So I've learned how to do that, and I've learned how to pivot, and I've also learned how to pause when something doesn't align with me anymore, and then start to go down another road. Because when you take the road less traveled, and the road less traveled was designed for you, that is the fastest way to reach your full potential and your best life. So thank you for listening today. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I really encourage you to share it with anybody that you know would benefit from this as well. And I'd love you to give me a review as well, because, I help a girl out trying to build up my, my podcast, following. So if you do a review, I'd really appreciate it. And if this has helped you, like I said, share it to someone else as well. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in next week's episode in Harmony in the Hustle. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Harmony in the Hustle. I hope today's episode filled you with inspiration, gave you some tips you can turn into action, and helped you find a little more harmony in your life. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who could use a bit more harmony in their hustle too. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe so you can stay updated with all the upcoming episodes. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen. And until next time, stay in the harmony and remember, you've got this. See you next time.